Dr. P was a musician of distinction, well known for many years as a singer, and then at the local school of music as a teacher. It was here, in relation to his students, that certain strange problems were first observed. Sometimes a student would present himself, and Dr. P would not recognize him, or specifically would not recognize his face. The moment the student spoke, he would be recognized by his voice. Such incidents multiplied, causing embarrassment, perplexity, fear, and sometimes comedy. For not only did Dr. P increasingly fail to see faces, but he saw faces when there were no faces to see. Genially, Magoo-like, when in the street he might pat the heads of water hydrants and parking meters, taking these to be the heads of children. He would amiably address carved knobs on the furniture and be astounded when they did not reply. At first these odd mistakes were laughed off as jokes, not least by Dr. P himself. Had he not always had a quirky sense of humor and been given to Zen-like paradoxes and jests? His musical powers were as dazzling as ever. He did not feel ill. He had never felt better. And the mistakes were so ludicrous and so ingenious that they could hardly be serious or betoken anything serious. The notion of there being something the matter did not emerge until some 3 years later, when diabetes developed. Well aware that diabetes could affect his eyes, Dr. P consulted an ophthalmologist, who took a careful history and examined his eyes closely. "There's nothing the matter with your eyes," the doctor concluded, "but there is trouble with the visual parts of your brain. You don't need my help. You must see a neurologist." And so, as a result of this referral, Dr. P came to me. It was obvious within a few seconds of meeting him that there was no trace of dementia in the ordinary sense. He was a man of great cultivation and charm who talked well and fluently, with imagination and humor. I couldn't think why he had been referred to our clinic. And yet, there was something a bit odd. He faced me as he spoke, was oriented towards me, and yet there was something the matter. It was difficult to formulate. He faced me with his ears, I came to think, but not with his eyes. These, instead of looking, gazing at me, taking me in the normal way, made sudden, strange fixations. On my nose, on my right ear, down to my chin, up to my right eye, as if noting, even studying these individual features, but not seeing my whole face, its changing expressions, me as a whole. I'm not sure that I fully realized this at the time. There was just a teasing strangeness, some failure in the normal interplay of gaze and expression. He saw me. He scanned me. And yet, "What seems to be the matter?" I asked him at length. "Nothing that I know of," he replied with a smile, "but people seem to think there's something wrong with my eyes." "But you don't recognize any visual problems?" "No, not directly, but I occasionally make mistakes." I left the room briefly to talk to his wife. When I came back, Dr. P was sitting placidly by the window, attentive, listening rather than looking out. "Traffic," he said. "Street sounds, distant trains. They make a sort of symphony, do they not? You know Onager's Pacific 231? What a lovely man, I thought to myself. How can there be anything seriously the matter? Would he permit me to examine him? "Yes, of course, Dr. Sachs." I stilled my disquiet, his perhaps too, in the soothing routine of a neurological exam. Muscle strength, coordination, reflexes, tone. It was while examining his reflexes, a trifle abnormal on the left side, that the first bizarre experience occurred. I had taken off his left shoe and scratched the sole of his foot with a key, a frivolous-seeming but essential test of a reflex. And then, excusing myself to screw my ophthalmoscope together, left him to put on the shoe himself. To my surprise, a minute later he had not done this. "Can I help?" I asked. "Help what?" "Help whom?" "Help you put on your shoe." "Ah," he said, "I had forgotten the shoe," adding sotto voce, "The shoe. The shoe." He seemed baffled. "Your shoe?" I repeated. "Perhaps you'd put it on?" He continued to look downwards, though not at the shoe, with an intense but misplaced concentration. Finally his gaze settled on his foot. "That is my shoe, yes?" Did I mishear? Did he missee? "My eyes," he explained, and put a hand to his foot. "This is my shoe, no?" "No, it is not. That is your foot. There is your shoe." "Ah, I thought that was my foot." Was he joking? Was he mad? Was he blind? If this was one of his strange mistakes, it was the strangest mistake I had ever come across.